Welcome to the Resilient Retail Game Plan, a podcast for anyone wanting to start, grow, or scale a profitable creative product business with me, Catherine Erdley. The Resilient Retail Game Plan is a podcast dedicated to one thing, breaking down the concepts and tools that I've gathered from 20 years in the retail industry and showing you how you can use them in your business. This is the real nuts and bolts of running a successful product business, broken down in an easy, accessible way. This is not a podcast about learning how to make your business look good. It's the tools and techniques that will make you and your business feel good. Confidently plan, launch, and manage your products, and feel in control of your sales numbers and cash flow to help you build a resilient retail business. Welcome to episode number 53 of the Resilient Retail Game Plan. My name's Catherine Erdley. I'm your host, as well as the founder of the Resilient Retail Club, which is my membership group for product businesses. You can find out more at resilientretailclub.com. Today's episode is a little bit different. I have been following the Instagram account Small Biz Memes on Instagram for several months now, and it's definitely one of my favorite accounts. It has hilarious insights into what life is like as a small business owner. And I know I see a lot of the club members sharing and my clients sharing and liking their posts as well. So I think they've really hit a nerve. They've catapulted to over 100,000 followers. So I think it's fair to say that there's lots of small businesses who've really resonated with their funny take on what it is to run a business and deal with all kinds of interesting things, from customers to strange people on Instagram. I mean, you name it, it's there. I definitely suggest that you go and check it out. You will notice that I do not give an introduction in this podcast. And the reason for that is that it's an anonymous account. So the creator said that we could have this chat today, which I'm sure you're going to love. Basically, it's me laughing for about 20 minutes. So I'm just going to give you fair warning of that. So I don't know who they are. They didn't identify themselves. We did it on Zoom, no cameras on, but I think you're really going to enjoy this chat. And if you haven't already checked out the account, then definitely go take a look. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for agreeing to join me.
Thanks for having me.
I've been looking forward to this chat because Small Biz Memes is literally one of my favorite Instagram accounts. And every day I'm like, oh, there's a new one. And I go check it out. So I'd love to know what it was that inspired you to start the account in the first place.
During the pandemic, people were just being so outrageously rude to me in my business. And it was just over the top. And I was talking to my friends about it and they were like, whoa, like me too. So I started making little memes about it and we would just laugh like in a little group together. And they were like, you should just start a page like dedicated to this. And then I was like, okay. So I did. And then it took a little while, but it a month into it kind of took off. And I was like, I guess a lot of people were feeling the same thing.
Yeah, that's so true. And I mean, I'm not a product business myself, but of course I talk to, I have clients, I have club members, my membership, and I hear some of their stories and some of the things that people say to them. And it is hair raising. So I think that I always just laugh because I really recognize it. But I know that if you're going through that day to day, it must mean so much to see these ridiculous situations played out.
Yes, definitely. I guess everyone was just so stressed about the pandemic and maybe ordering so much online. And it was like really over the top last summer. People were so mean.
And so impatient, isn't it? Like they buy something and then like the next day they're like,
oh my gosh, yes. They're like, when am I going to get it? Why haven't you shipped it? And it's like, and I want to make it clear, like 99% of the people are totally kind, like, very nice people. But something about last summer, it was just a lot.
People were over the edge.
Yeah.
And then I know, and a lot of people told me like last Christmas that they had to stop shipping early because they just couldn't take like a week long in the run up to
gosh.
In the run up to Christmas, like, where's my Christmas gift?
Yes. Yeah, because some things I would ship, there were things I shipped Black Friday weekend And it was, a week before Christmas, and people were like, I haven't gotten it yet. And I'm like, I don't know. And the tracking would just say arriving late. And it's like, okay, like, I need more information.
Oh God, it's so true. It was like Shipmageddon. It was like the biggest,
Yes.
like the biggest online sales quarter in the history of ever, basically.
Yeah.
And all of the carriers, like every single carrier had a meltdown. So USPS in the US and the Royal Mail in England. And it was like, I feel like there was stuff turning up in February that from that Christmas rush. It was
Oh,
just
definitely. Definitely.
it was so crazy. But what's really funny is that also I see a lot of your memes being shared by a lot of my clients, and and it feels really universal. So do you think you have people now? I mean, you're over 100,000 followers. Did you find that you get people from all across the world?
Oh yeah, definitely. I have a lot of friends in the UK. I've got a few friends in Australia, but I've never really had like a global like reach even to my business. I send mostly things to Canada, UK, Australia, and the USA.
Huh.
And so there are just so many people on that account that they'll be like, "Oh, well," and then they'll like name another country and I'm like, "Oh, this is cool." Like we all feel it. So,
And do you think humor is a good way of kind of uniting people as well? It gives you that common thread.
yeah, definitely, because we're all going through it, and so many posts literally every day, even one today. People are like, I didn't know other people went through this. It's like you like literally you just have to laugh about it because or cry. I do both. Like, But like yeah, it's definitely the universal theme. I think makes it funnier because people will see it and be like, wow, like
Wow.
we really do all go through this.
That was really, and I think what I really like as well is the creativity that people put into some of these memes. And there was one the other day that just made me laugh so much, where it was somebody said, like, when I get a question that should have been for Google, and it was just them running away from
Yes.
the camera.
Yeah.
And but it was just like, which doesn't sound very funny when I describe it, but a lot of it was like just her expression and
Yeah.
the way that she just like put herself into this and running at full speed away for it. And it's like, yeah, it definitely, there are days like that where you get these DMs and you're like, God, yeah.
Yeah. I know. Like, I think some people read it and they're like, well, I would answer every single one. And it's like, okay, well, like, nobody is being like, oh, well, we'll never answer a question. But sometimes it's just like you get 10 people ask the same question that could be answered on a simple Google search. Like, it gets like, like in one day. It's like, okay, you can look that up. Like,
Yeah, and about the fact that whatever you say, because I always say this to clients, like, especially if you're trying to communicate like last shipping dates or cutoff times, I'm like, just work on the basis that nobody's going to read anything.
yeah.
So,
Yes, exactly.
so you can put it on your website, you can put it in your email responders, you can put it in the product listings, you can put it on your social media account, but you can guarantee that there's going to be somebody who's going to get like, wow, I had no idea that I'd missed, how was I supposed to know? And you're like, it was
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah, it's like one of like 12 places you could have seen that. People never read, even people on that account. They just like, I'll make a joke in the caption, and then in the comments, like five people make the same joke, and they're not like copying me. I can just tell they didn't look at the caption at all. And I'm like, I hope you people aren't complaining that your customers don't read because I made that joke. But
I have to
it's fun.
say, full props to your captions. They are pretty amazing.
Thank you. Yeah.
So what do you think it is about the kind of small business experience that means it is ripe for comedy, or so many people have found it so funny?
Probably just what we were already saying is just so people just deal with the same stuff every day. Like when you're running a small business, it's very monotonous. A lot of times you're working by yourself. So maybe you don't have the coworkers to, gossip with or
Yeah.
whatever. So just finding an outlet of like-minded people who are all dealing with it. And a lot of the people are just so funny that it really works out. Like some people like they'll like submit stuff or they'll do original memes and I read it and I just start laughing and I'm like, these people are just so funny. Like
I suppose it's so true. It's like, almost like the kind of water cooler chat, right? Like
Yeah.
there is definitely, for sure, I think about every time I've worked for a business when I've been in the kind of corporate world, and there's always been someone that I needed. It's almost like you will need one friend in every job where you literally can just
Yes.
kind of be like, did you know what Sandra said today? Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, and I feel like this account is almost like small businesses' opportunity to do that, like the
Exa-
customer.
yes, that's exactly how I feel, because I think that's why it's worked out so well, because it's like a lot of people, they might have a friend or two that sell stuff, but a lot of the people are like, I have no other people that sell the same thing as me. And then they like, I see people like making friendships in the comment section. And I'm like, yes, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that feeling, that pain of when someone says like, "Oh, how come you charge so much for that?" It's like I could make that.
Yes.
Well, somebody was doing that with their balloon the other day. There was a meme where a video of them. Somebody said, "Oh, I could just do it with a Sharpie," and then they're like, "Okay, here you go," and it just looked terrible. But it's so it.
Yeah.
Or just sending them all the pieces of the item in a box and just saying like, okay, all right, you make it then.
Yeah,
It's
they're so funny. Like the one you were talking about, the balloon, that was Fun Club. And she's absolutely hilarious, but that video was just so true, because people are like, I could just do that, blah blah blah, and then it's like, no, you actually need, and then people will just list 20 different things you'll have to buy to make that one single thing. People just don't appreciate the amount of work that some of these people are putting into their stuff.
oh yeah, and also just the skill. I mean, I'm terrible at craft. Like I bought myself, during lockdown, probably like everyone else, I bought myself a craft box subscription because I was like, come on, Catherine, you can do this. I can bake cakes, like that's the extent of it. And then I was like, I'm gonna make things. And I had to cancel it after the third one that I just messed up like so badly. It was like a macrame bag, and I was like, this is not happening. Like I can't, turns out I can't tie knots, like, so I'm always in awe whenever I work with my clients. I'm always like, wow, it's amazing what you can do. But I know that there are those people out there that just yeah, they're just like, I could do that. And you're like, "Oh, go on then." Like,
Yes, let's see it. Let's see it. Let's see that masterpiece, please.
I mean, it only took me 200 hours to learn how to
Yeah.
do this, but
Some of the people that other people are saying they could do that, I look at it and I'm like, okay, like good luck in like 5 years, maybe.
so how important do you think it is then, as like you say, kind of laugh or you cry? Do you think that humor is an important part of being sort of emotionally resilient?
Definitely. Like I've always thought, you have to just laugh about things. When we were in high school, there's a picture in a yearbook of me I was voted the class clown.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, it's my crowning achievement. I'm one of those people that's still talking about like a high school achievement. Like it's just depressing, but at the same time, it's like my life peaked in that moment. I'm like blowing on a little party horn thing,
Yeah.
and I have like a birthday hat on. It's just like it's all downhill since, but everything is, you have to just laugh at things, because I'm not gonna like sit around and stew in it for like a week. I'm gonna like get mad for 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna be like, that was really ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
let's make a joke about it now, please. Like
Yeah. And because it really hurts, I think sometimes. I mean, I've talked to clients who and club members who kind of like stopped their business for a few months because they couldn't deal with, or and sometimes it wasn't even like a huge like influx of negativity. It was just a few comments that just really got to them. And I don't know, I just think it's so much better if you can just laugh it off.
I agree. Like, because sometimes people send in ones, and the customer or the potential customer or whoever, they're just so over the top mean. And I'm just like, why are these people so mean to these people? Like, I probably would cry for a solid 10 or 20 minutes if I got that. But it's just, but then other times, like you said, like just there'll be, because like I was saying last summer, it's just like every other day there was somebody with a problem. And very few of the people last summer were being kind about, about their issues, and they were like really going in on things. And I was just like, can we just like dial it down a bit? Like, but yeah,
Yeah.
it builds and builds and builds, like anything with like, psychology, it just builds and builds. And then you're like, like, I can't do this. And sometimes people literally just quit. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's sad. Like,
But the
but
pricing's a really interesting one, because I always say to people, like, there's no price low enough for a critic, because there's always going to be, sometimes people will be like, well, I can't charge more than this, because I do a lot of work with people on things like working out how much profit they're making and this type of thing. And I say, well, I can't charge more. And I'll be like, okay, but other people doing the same thing are charging more, and they'll be like, oh, but I get negative feedback. And then basically what happens is you drill down for a bit, and then it turns out that somebody at an event was rude to them, and it's like, yeah, but there's one person, like, it's almost like there's a quota, right?
yes.
Every
Yes.
event has the guy who walks up and says, like, I can't believe, who do you think you are charging that? And it's just like,
Yeah. Like, my kid could do that.
yeah, exactly. I feel like there's probably somebody going around, like Primark or like Walmart in the US, and being like, I can't believe they charge $3 for a pair of shorts or something. It's like, who do they think they are? I mean, it's just, there's always going to be those people. But I suppose if you don't know that, actually, if you don't have, in all seriousness, if you don't have access to something like Small Biz Memes, where you can realize, oh God, everybody's got one of those customers. Okay, well, maybe it's not me then.
Yeah, that's definitely agree with you. Like, also, I'll be like, I like to say, I laugh at the things, but of course, like, I could put something out on Instagram. I'll be like really proud of it. Somebody, there'll be like 5 comments being like, oh, this is so cool. And then one person comes in and says something negative, and immediately, like, I lose the like hype of the 5 comments that came before them. And I'm just like, wow, it really is terrible. And then after, like, I think I really have gotten to like the point where after a certain amount of time, I'm like, you know what? It is cool. Like, it is cool. That
Yeah.
person's just like terrible. Like, it is cool. Like,
you can wheel out the okie doke. That always cracks me up as well. Like the ultimate reaction when someone says something crazy, because some of the comments, like the ones that always crack me up, are the ones that go straight for the demons, like the people or you're going to hell. Or like,
I never knew there were so many like demon threats in small business. It's just crazy. Like,
and then someone's like, okie doke, like, you're going to hell, okie doke. And like, I feel like sometimes in my everyday life, I get tempted to use that. Somebody says something and I'm just like, okie doke, like,
I know it really finishes every conversation. Like, but it's so true. Like, people are like throwing out demons. Like, they're like, you're going to hell. Like the one where the person was like, my father's a priest and you're going to hell, because they wouldn't give him something free. I was like, what? Like,
they always crack me up as well, the ones where it's like, hey, can I have some of your designs? And then the person's like, yeah, if you pay for them. I mean,
yeah.
all of this kind of influencer behavior, like the sort of, I mean, and of course there are a lot of influencers who just wouldn't ever behave like that, a lot of very reputable ones, but there are these people who just feel so entitled, like, I'll post, you'll get paid an exposure, and it's, yeah.
I know. And you go to their account and they have like 2 pictures, and one of them's taken at like 11 o'clock at night with no lights on. And it's like, wow, I'm going to get so much exposure for this.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for that. Yeah.
Thanks for this exposure.
So is there anything that shocks you anymore, or do you feel like you've just seen it all at this point?
I think, no, I definitely still am shocked by some of them. The ones that really kill me are the ones where someone makes, like, the customer makes a mistake and they just flat out refuse to take any responsibility for the mistake that they made.
Yeah.
And then they just keep going in on the small business because they're upset at themselves for making a mistake. And for some reason, I'll never get used to that, because it's like, they can't just be like, oh, you're right. Like, I messed it up. Like,
yeah.
Like the one, there was one last week, I think it was last week, where
she got the name wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the customer ordered it with the wrong name on. And then
she spelled the name wrong. And then she blamed the sign company. It was just like a painted sign or a wooden sign or something. And she blamed the company, and the company, or the small business, and the small biz was like, that's what you put on the order form. And then she was like, well, I know it's not entirely your fault, but it's not my fault. It's like, no, it really is your fault. Like, you needed to check that. Like, but stuff like that still, I don't know why. I shouldn't be surprised, but it still shocks me that people just flat out refuse to take any responsibility for some of these.
Or they send it to the wrong address. That's
Yes.
the one.
Yeah. And they're like, you should have known that. And it's like, what? Like, how in the world would this small business know where you used to live? Like, that you sent it to an old apartment.
Yeah, because it's not even sometimes that I mean, possibly you could argue if there's a way that they sent it to an address that didn't exist, then you could say, well, isn't there an address checker? But often in those cases, it's like, oh, I accidentally sent it to the old address, my old address.
Yeah.
And then they get mad that they
Yes.
Or I suppose the other one that always kind of I find gobsmacking is when people blame deaths in the family, or like they say like, oh, I couldn't pay, like they try and basically play the real guilt trip, and then but then you realize like they're guilt tripping loads of businesses, saying like, how many times can your dog die? I mean,
Yes, it's so funny on there because somebody will send one in and a person has like a very sad story. And I try not to like make fun of any of the ones because you never know. Like, it could be true, but then at the same time, it's like, well, just because, like, no offense, but like your dog died, why are you asking for free things from like a
yeah.
small business? But then you find out like the one was a cat. It's literally my favorite one ever. It was from Depop,
Uh-huh.
and they said that the first one came in like when we were like just starting. It was like back in like October maybe, and it said this item, it was a necklace I think or something, looks exactly like my beloved cat Snuffles, and could you possibly give it to me for free, as the good Lord says, like, love your neighbor or something. I don't know, it was just like really over the top. And then literally like 4 months later, someone else comes in and sends the exact same message, but it was like a different time. It was like 4 months later. I'm like, this person's been trying to scam cat necklaces from people for 4 months with like a fake dead cat named Snuffles. And it was just, the message was so, if anyone listens to this, you just have to go find, they're both still up. You have to go read one of them. They're just so over the top. Like, it's crazy.
And isn't one of them didn't the cat necklace not even really look much like a
Yes.
cat? It's like
Yeah, it was like an emoji donut, something. It was like a donut mixed with a cat, and people were like, their cat was a donut. Like, it had like pink sprinkles. Like,
so, but I guess the secondary question, the first off, like, why would you use your dead cat as a way of trying to get free stuff? It's like, what are they doing with all the cat necklaces?
I know. Are they like starting the cat necklace empire over here? Like, I guess if a shop opens full of like hundreds of cat necklaces, we know where they came from.
We know where they came from. We know.
I have a lot of questions.
Do you think part of it is that people just don't realize that they're dealing with small businesses, or do you think that it's almost like they're applying big, it's like the Amazon culture, right? Like next day delivery, everything now. Do you think that that's kind of making it worse, or do you think some people are just realize it's one person and just don't care?
Probably both. But no, but I think shipping, anything to do with shipping, I blame Amazon. I blame like 2-day shipping, 1-day shipping. Like, it's just, people think that every business can do that because Amazon does that,
Mm-hmm.
or like free shipping. I mean, small businesses pay for their shipping. Like, it's a lot of money, and shipping is a hot button topic a lot of the time. Like, both speed and cost, but it's expensive to ship stuff, and people don't, I think, realize that because there's so many free shipping from big business. But and I think a lot of people don't know, they maybe send in questions thinking like, I don't know if they think it's like auto generated answers or what, but I think I've even seen some on the post that people have been like, oh, I didn't know that like like an actual person was going to answer me. Like, they thought it was like a bot or whatever. And it's like, no, it's a person. Like, you should always, try to be nice. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Or they just don't realize. I think sometimes they don't realize, if I'm going to be generous, I'd say they don't realize that the person who's answering the emails is the person who creates the products and ships them out. Like, yeah, like you say, or they think it's like the customer service department.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably the same person that literally made the item you're talking about. Like,
Yeah. So it's like, it's not like there's a whole army of people who's going to be dealing with your calls. It's like that person. I think the irony of it all is that small businesses, in my experience, are amazing at customer service. Like you could say to them, "Oh, I'm sorry, this thing wasn't right," or "Can I have an update?" And you get an immediate response. I find it's the big businesses that usually are like I ordered a big piece of furniture, and then they just deliver the wrong thing, and then it's like I couldn't get hold of anybody forever. So I don't know whether maybe people are just taking out that kind of frustration on the small businesses because at least you can get hold of somebody to talk to them.
and I also think that when people are nice about something, like you were just saying, if you're nice about it, you say like, "Oh, I'm sorry, like my order or something, blah blah." Like, even if the small business wasn't at fault, they might be more likely to say, "Well, why don't you just send it back? I'll send you a different one," or if you ordered the wrong size or something.
Yeah.
And like, I just think people immediately think, for some reason, I have no idea why, but they immediately think that like people are trying to scam them or something. Like they're like, it can be a business with, I mean, obviously follower count doesn't always mean that it's a reputable business, but usually if somebody's got, I don't know, 50,000 followers, they're probably not out here scamming everyone. Obviously they could be, I don't know. Maybe sometimes
It's a lot
I
of
have
effort
heard
to
of,
scam someone. I mean, I'm
yeah,
sure there's quicker and easier ways to do it
yeah.
than to get 50,000
And
Instagram followers first.
yeah, so it's like, I just don't know. People just automatically assume the worst. I guess it's just it's just the way we are, I guess. I don't know.
And do you think that because more and more people are opening their own or starting their own businesses, do you think that we'll ever get to the point where more people are like, okay, I'm a small business owner, or my friend runs a business, maybe I won't go straight out of the gate with the accusations of demons or scams, or do you think there's just always going to be that small percentage of let's call them high maintenance customers?
I definitely think people are being nicer. I even see people like on the account in the comments say like, this account has made me like more appreciative of people I order from and stuff like that. I mean, there's always going to be negative, like no matter what, there always will be like a few bad apples in there. But I think more people are realizing like the amount of stress that a lot of small businesses feel, and maybe like lack of help from government or whatever. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we're not going to
Yeah.
get into a big political talk here, but stuff
Yeah.
like that, like maybe less resources, things like that. And I just think if people are kinder to everyone, like, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't want to sound like la la la, but if you're literally kinder, most people I know are a lot nicer in their replies.
Yeah. Let's face it. If you're getting fired up because you're, what was it? I saw recently one where it was like molds, like silicon molds, and
Yes.
somebody was like so mad that they couldn't get this, that something had sold out, and they just the message they sent was just like, wow. And you just think, okay, if you're that upset about silicone molds, then possibly there are other
There's a
things.
bigger there's a bigger issue going on here. I
Yeah.
know. One person, I remember somebody commented once that it wasn't a life-saving, um like it wasn't a life-saving medication or something like that. And it was something, it was like a headband or something that like that people can buy. And ever since that person said that, I think about that all the time. Like these people act like, I don't know, they're just so over the top, and it's like it's like you just said, a silicone mold, like, okay.
I love it. I know so many people love the account. So thank you for doing what you do. I'm sure it is very busy. I'm sure that I'm sure that it's a lot. I know it's a lot to keep it all going. So thank you once again. And thanks for coming on the podcast. And if you listen to this and you've not checked it out, then probably a lot of this podcast is not going to make any sense to you. So the best thing to do
Even if you have checked it out, probably half the answers will not make sense.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows
You'll
what's
have to scroll back. Enjoy losing half an hour to scrolling through the back catalogue, because it's pretty hilarious. And you have a Patreon that people can support you through. Is that correct?
Yes, we do. And we have a monthly sticker club through the Patreon that different small businesses from the account make the sticker, and then they get part of the profit. And yeah.
That's wonderful. People were saying about when you give people a free gift in their order, then people will always get mad.
They're like, why did you send me this?
Did I pay for this? This wasn't part of my order.
I better not have been charged for this.
So you just better make sure people don't get mad about the stickers. That's
I know, that's true. I gotta write that down.
Yeah. Please note, you will receive the sticker. That's such a great idea. So go, if you're listening, go check it out. Go check out Small Biz Memes. We'll put the link in the show notes, and we'll put the link for the Patreon as well. So thank you so much for your time today. I've had a really good time, and it's such a fun account, and I know it brings a lot of joy to a lot of people. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. I did warn you that it was basically me laughing for about 20 minutes. So definitely go check them out if you haven't done already. There's also the link to the Patreon is in the show notes as well. So go check that out if you are in the market for some humorous small business themed stickers. As always, if you can take a moment to rate and review the podcast, it means the absolute world to me. And why don't you hit the subscribe button, and then that way you'll be the first to know, I should say, when the next episode comes out. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, then I invite you to check out resilientretailclub.com. The Resilient Retail Club is the membership for anyone wanting to start, grow, or scale a profitable product business. No more trawling Google trying to find the answers to your questions, or wading through general business advice that speaks mainly to service-based businesses. Whether you're still at the idea stage or you've been going for a while but want to get more focused and organised when it comes to your business, the Resilient Retail Club is the place for you. With a library of courses tailored to creative product businesses, several live sessions a month, and a supportive and active community, the Resilient Retail Club is the perfect membership to help you hit your goals faster. Check it out at resilientretailclub.com.